Welcome, everyone, and thank you for joining today. We have a very interesting master class, continuing on a theme we introduced 2 weeks ago. It's entitled Planning Guidelines for Faster Business-to-Business Payments. So, how can you accelerate your payments from your customers, and what can you do to make that happen? How do you plan for that? My name is John Salick. I'm a strategic AR advisor to Emagia. I've had about 35 years of consulting in the order-to-cash and accounts receivable management function to over 250 companies across the globe. And I'm happy to share my insights with you today. Quick half-hour program that I think will give you some things to think about, and quite honestly, some actions that you may choose to take. So let's look at the agenda. I'm going to start off with an introduction to kind of set the stage. And then we'll get right into it and talk about two of the major influences of enabling customers to pay you on time. One is the right invoicing. We'll talk about what that means, and we'll define what the right invoicing is. And then the other part is accepting payments, a wide range of payments. And these days, in the last few years, with the growing popularity of electronic or digital payments and all the different payment gateways out there, many customers prefer to pay using those modes. So, it all revolves around the simple advice to make it easy for your customers to pay you. And that boils down to two things. One, give them what they need for an invoice. And two, accommodate their preference for paying you. If you do that, you will see an increase in on-time payments from your customers. So we'll talk about those two things, invoicing and digital payments, and we'll talk about how they're synergized with a customer care portal, share with you quickly a customer success story, recap the benefits, wrap it up with a conclusion, and take your questions. All right. If we step back and go to a very high level, there's essentially two ways to accelerate and customer payments. One, which is our focus today, is enabling and maximizing what I call on-time customer-initiated payments that require no collection follow-up. So think about that. On time, which is great. Customer-initiated, meaning no further effort from you once you've delivered the invoice. Kind of like putting your cash flow on autopilot. How great is that? And then the second way, for those customers who don't pay on time of their own volition, is effective collections. And so much has been written about that. We've talked about it many times. That's very often the focus of a credit department. But I think the first one, maximizing on-time customer-initiated payments, has got to be the focus of the greater order-to-cash process owner to get the best results for your company. And certainly maximizing the on-time customer-initiated payments will increase your cash flow, but it'll reflect an enhanced customer experience. If the customer's not happy, or if there's been an error in fulfilling or invoicing the order, they're not going to pay on time. And you'll probably need to contact them to find out why. So if you're getting a lot of on-time customer-initiated payments, that's a good sign that your fulfillment and invoicing operations are working very, very well. And I would suggest that you go back in time a little bit and look at all the billings from a month. So let's say, go back and look at August 2021. Let's say you billed out $50 million. How much of that $50 million was paid on time, or maybe a little past due, 5 days or less, without you doing anything? You know, you can go to the collection notes and see what was done. And then maybe look at December of last year. Same thing. And test this periodically. Hopefully it'll be going up, particularly if you implement some of the things we're going to talk about here today. Great cash flow, good reflection of the customer experience, and of course it reduces collection costs. Let's just recap a couple definitions here so we're all on the same page. Digital invoicing, also known as e-invoicing or e-billing, is electronic delivery of an invoice versus a paper invoice sent by the postal service. EDI billing is digital invoicing, right? Your invoice goes to your customer through a secure network between you and the individual customer. Digital payments, which have exploded in the last few years, and of course, go by different names and different acronyms. Real-time payments, frictionless digital payments. Essentially, they're electronic payments that transfer the funds bank to bank. And what's nice is they also transfer the remit advice with the payment, instructing the vendor which invoices they're paying. And this pays nice dividends in the Cash App. That's subject of another webinar. And what's nice to know about the digital payments is it's direct between buyer and seller, secure internet connection on a account-to-account basis. So there's a lot of advantage to digital payments. Security is one, cost is another. Bundling the remit with the payment is another. So those are our definitions. And let's get right to it. Okay, the right invoice. You know, there was a movie years ago about the astronauts going into space called The Right Stuff. Well, when do you know your invoicing has the right stuff? First of all, the invoice is compiled fast in your ERP. So if you ship today, the invoice data, all the data required on the invoice is compiled that afternoon, that night, overnight maybe. It's batch processing, ready to be posted on an invoice. And your invoice is in the customer's required format. Now, this is going to require some customization, but you know, if you use the invoice template, you set it up once, and hopefully you'll use it over and over and over again. And it's a key step in making your invoice easy to pay because the customer has everything what they need. Now, you may think some of the things they look for and ask on a vendor invoice are strange. We've seen customers want their vendors to put an internal accounting code on their invoices. This facilitates the customer's accounting for that expenditure. Okay, that's what they want. Give it to them. What's another characteristic of the right invoicing? Well, it's accurate. And it conveys all the information required by the customer. So their format their information requirements. Of course, accuracy is always a key. What else? Well, and this is a key one. Again, we want to make it easy for the customer to pay you under their own volition, with no follow-up from you. Key element there is deliver the invoice in the customer's required or preferred mode, meaning they may want an electronic invoice. They may want you to post it to their vendor portal, which is becoming more and more common. That's kind of almost standard. Many European and Latin American economies require e-invoicing. It helps them track the value-added tax that they charge on every invoice, or they collect on every invoice. So I say required or preferred mode. A lot of big companies require electronic invoice. And you can beg off and get an exception saying, oh, we're not equipped to do that yet, blah, blah, blah. But that's only going to last so long. And if you can't meet the customer's invoicing requirements, it's going to hurt your rating as a supplier. Are you going to be an A1 supplier? Well, the customer requires an electronic invoice of some sort, and you get an exemption and you're still sending them paper invoices, you're not going to be an A1 supplier. Maybe an A2, maybe a B1, whatever. But you're not going to be that top supplier. Or you're going to have to hire a third-party firm to take your invoices and deliver them in the requested electronic mode, which adds expense and sometimes can add delay as well. And then the other point is about the right invoicing is deliver it fast. So once it's compiled, deliver it. If those are the 5 elements of the right invoicing. And if you can achieve those, you will find a greater percentage of your payments come in on time and without any follow-up from you. I mean, that's great. That's great. Oracle released an article not so long ago, not selling their products, talking about their own experience. And they report, this was by their payables, their treasury manager, they report that 80% of the invoices it receives electronically, digitally, are paid on time, versus only 65% of those received in hard copy. So that's an indicator. Easier to handle, boom, they go through quicker. So, the theme here is make it easy for your customers to pay you. And on the invoicing side of the fence, these are the 5 characteristics of the right invoicing, the right stuff. All right. Then we go to the other side of the coin. Something that you can affect as well is, again, making it easy to pay you. Well, if you can accept a customer's payment in the mode they prefer, right, that's easy for them, beneficial to them, will increase your chances of getting paid on time. And of course, this day and age just comes down to digital payments. And there's some real advantages here. First of all, digital payments, once they're triggered, are received same or next day, and the funds availability is same or next day. I mean, that's nice, that's fast. Digital payments can also facilitate COD transactions given the speed. If you're talking about your truck driver showing up to a customer gives them a check, they deliver the goods, it might be 2 weeks before you're certain that check won't bounce. And if it's a COD, cash on delivery customer, bouncing checks are a concern. That's probably what got them into that COD status. So the digital payments can be executed real quickly. You can even have your driver wait. And by making it easier, faster, and less obtrusive to the customer, maybe you'll use COD more use it where you should use it. And this will accelerate cash from that group of customers. And the other thing about digital payments, they can be made and received in many currencies. Your payments gateway provider makes sure of that. So that's nice, you know. That's nice to be able to handle multi-currencies. So here's a chart I put together. Compares the OTC cycle time with paper-based invoicing versus digital invoicing. And it starts with the processing of the customer's order, and it ends with the funds availability. So whether you use paper-based invoicing or digital really doesn't impact the speed in which you can fulfill an order. But it does impact, in the next box, the speed of producing an invoice. Generally, the digital technology enables you to produce an invoice at least a day faster. Delivery of the invoice, big speed advantage here with digital. Same or next day, I put 1 day here. Put an invoice, print it out, stuff it in an envelope, let the postal service deliver it. Certainly in the US, that's going to take 3 to 9 days. Customer paying the invoice, I essentially considered this to be the same, which probably penalizes digital invoicing a little bit. You know, the Oracle example I just cited, 80% are paid on time versus 65% of paper invoices. So you can argue that your digital invoice is going to get paid sooner. And I did put a little advantage there for digital, 3 days faster. 1, because of the Oracle example I cited, and 2, because of a greater usage of cash on delivery. You know, it only takes a few percentage points of your sales to drive the aggregate DSO down. The other big advantage here is when the payment's received. If the customer prints a check, puts it in the mail, again, it's the same delay we saw on the invoicing side, postal service versus digital, same or next day. And the funds availability much faster too. So it all ends up on this cycle here, which is actually a pretty good cycle because of the customer paying the invoice in the low 30 days here. You're still able to cut 11 to 23 days out of it using digital invoicing versus paper-based invoicing. So it's a pretty powerful argument, I think, for digital invoicing. You know, we're talking about accelerating B2B payments. Well, with the right invoicing and the ability to accept a wide range of payments, most of them digital, you can see a big reduction in that cycle time. You know, there's some other advantages too here of accepting digital payments. First one is what I call an enhanced customer experience. Hey, customer wants to pay in a certain way. You can accommodate it. That's great. Man, you're easy to do business with. It's a pleasure to do business with. They'll accommodate their payment preference. This is a key element of what we call strategic AR management, which is a webinar we gave a few months back. The other thing is with the small, medium-sized businesses, you know, if they have an owner, a president, that person or that 2 or 3 member management team probably spends all day, weekdays, generating, fulfilling orders and attending to dozens of other priorities. And a lot of them end up paying their vendor invoices because only they can approve it, nights or weekends. So digital payments gives them the ability to make payments nights and weekends. And there's some evidence that it will help you get paid faster. And certainly the digital payments result in much lower lockbox credit card fees. And as I alluded to earlier on cash application, with the remit advice traveling with the payment, that makes Cash App easier, can generally lead to a higher auto cash hit rate, which reduces your cost of cash application. And I contrast this to EDI because when a customer pays via EDI, that payment travels through the banking channels as an ACH payment, which is great. The remit advice is what comes through the EDI system. And again, payment information, the receipt of the payment comes through your lockbox reporting. The application of that payment comes through EDI. And sometimes that disconnect can hinder the Cash App process. So, digital invoicing, we've talked about the advantages. Accepting a wide range of digital payments, we've talked about the benefits there. These two are even more powerful when they're offered and part of a customer care portal, also known as an EIPP portal, electronic invoice payment and presentment and payment portal. It's really an EIPPP, but we won't get into that. When you combine these three elements together, it's very, very powerful because it just makes it so easy for the customer. The invoices are there, the statements are there, the ability to make a payment is there on the customer care portal. The ability to register a dispute, it's all there. And if you present and offer a wide range of payment options, it's that much easier for the customer. So, and the other big advantage here with digital payments is they can be made via a wide range of mobile devices. So what you see a lot in the popular culture is business owners sitting on a beach with their laptop. Well, you know, they could go to the customer care portal, access the invoices, and then with their banking app, you know, they can make some payments. So it is true. And again, it's just another way to facilitate payments and make it easier for your customer to pay you. And as we said at the very beginning, pay you on time, entirely of their own volition, with no follow-up from you. I mean, how great is that? It's like nirvana. Now, the same technology that enables digital invoicing and acceptance of a wide range of digital payments also is used to increase collection effectiveness. So I know we focused on getting your customers to pay on time with no intervention. You know, there'll be some you need to follow up with. And this same technology helps there. One is a digital assistant, where at Emagia they named it Gia, can perform automated collection contact to all your delinquent accounts, which is very helpful with those smaller accounts that you never get to. And it's not just an email. It's an email with a dialogue. You know, can you pay you know, you got $8,000 past due. Can you pay today? Customer answers no. Okay. Gia comes back. Can you pay tomorrow? No. When can you pay? So just that little back and forth increases the effectiveness and enables you to get 100% portfolio coverage. And then with the advanced analytics, your collection prioritization gets much sharper, and your collection contact is focused on the customers that need it, not somebody that pays 3 or 4 days late. You know, just wait it out. The payment come in 3 or 4 days late. You don't want to waste time contacting them. It's the ones that are habitually, seriously late. So that same technology provides a benefit there when we talk about accelerating cash flow. We have, Emagia's had a customer now for a while. It's a multinational, almost $6 billion in revenue, operates across the globe, has its shared service teams, India, Europe, and the US, pretty typical configuration. They implemented the Emagia modules for customer billing, which enables e-billing, a payment portal, customer care portal, accepting digital payments, and also cash application, which, is a nice combination. And again, a lot of complexity here, 80 business units, thousands of customers, multiple currencies, multiple countries, multiple banks. But this functionality achieved a lot of what we've described here. First of all, it enables them to accommodate the customer's preference for payment and for receiving an invoice. And over time, the number of customers using digital payments has increased. I mentioned auto-cash earlier, 92% auto-cash hit rate, and 60% reduction in the cost to process payments. So this technology brings a lot. Well, let's just recap them here quickly. First one is accelerated cash receipts. So what are the benefits of making it easier to pay you? Well, it's an increase in on-time customer-initiated payments, where you don't have to do anything. So the benefits of that are accelerated cash receipts, lower DSO, lower pass-through, ability to meet customer preferences. That's key to customer sat, enhancing the customer experience. Increased productivity, collections, cash application. And it reduces your banking costs, your lockbox bank processing costs. Because more of these payments are coming in digitally with everything you need. You don't need the bank to key them into a flat file or a CSV file or anything. The technology takes care of that. Well, faster, more secure. So at the end of the day, you're getting improved customer satisfaction. You're getting an increased cash flow, lower costs, ultimately building that customer experience into higher market share and increased revenues. So, our conclusion. Bear in mind, digital invoicing is often a requirement. I say preference, yeah, it's a preference, but more and more companies, it's a requirement. And if you can't meet that requirement as time goes on, it's just going to be more difficult and more expensive for you because you'll be forced to have a third party do this. The exemption for paper invoicing, eventually those exemptions are going to run out. So I say it's coming, it's here, and it's going to increase in terms of digital invoicing being a requirement as opposed to a preference. And it's always good to meet customer preferences. The digital payments, as we said, are faster, lower cost, more secure. And here again, preferred by many suppliers. I don't want paper checks either. And the key technologies that enable all this are rooted in artificial intelligence, machine learning, and AI-powered digital assistants. And on the scale of IT projects, which is kind of subjective, implementing these tools is lower cost and faster than many of the IT projects that are out there. And that's important because the IT department's always overburdened and scheduled, 2-3 years out. If you can get approval to implement this it can happen pretty quickly, and you can start seeing the benefits in a few months. I think we're out of time, unfortunately, but I did want to alert you to our next master class in 2 weeks. It's entitled Achieving Digital World-Class Performance in AR with Artificial Intelligence. So you're seeing some consistent themes here. The capabilities are building. The adoption is spreading. Your competitors may be enjoying these benefits, giving them an advantage over you. So it's a lot going on. It's changing fast, and it's building. So I'd encourage you to sit in on this one as well. All right. Our email address at the top. If you have any questions or comments, please email us at info@emagia.com, and we'll be happy to answer those questions. Thank you very much, and so long.